put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, describes my gut reaction to reading your average internet fan theory.
There's nothing more toxic or deadly.
Why would anyone try to read so much into a kid's movie? Is an example of a question that we're not going to answer in this video.
Give it a rest, will you?
Instead, we're diving headfirst into the dark pool of what the in which the internet loves to swim. I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and these are the dark theories about Monsters, Inc. that change everything. Kitty! Monsters' fear of humans stems from the plague. In the movie, Monsters, Inc. CEO Henry J. Waternoose perpetuates the idea that humans are dangerous, stressing the importance of avoiding contamination in the monster world.
A single touch could kill you.
We eventually find out that he's fully aware humans pose no threat to monsters at all. So what's the motive behind the myth? Well, it seems to be a diversionary tactic to cover up his plans to automate the energy harvesting process with a scream extractor.
She's seen too much. You both have.
However, something still doesn't add up. Did he trick the entire population of Monstropolis into this false belief? The movie is a little inconsistent on this point anyway. I mean, if a sock is so dangerous, why are they even willing to walk on the carpet or go under the bed?
Watch yourself. Stand back.
While the events of the movie certainly lead monsters to become more relaxed about contact with children, it begs the question, how did they become so fearful in the first place? Answer, the Black Death.
Well, I don't think that thing could have gone any worse.
You've probably heard of the plague that wiped out 30 to 60% of Europe's population, reaching peak destruction around the 14th century. Well, guess when the wardrobe came about in Europe? Oh my god, yes. Reddit user Don Quixote 1991 makes the connection between the deadliest disease in history and the monster's first viable opportunity to visit the human world /dimension/time. We'll come back to that last one. And what happened when the monsters came out of the non-figurative closet? A load of infected parasites jumped onto their fur, spreading the lethal plague and decimating the monster population. Now that's enough to make monsters afraid of little kids.
That was a close one.
Monstropolis is the only city in a destroyed world. We don't learn a whole lot about the Monsters, Inc. universe from the movie, and when it comes to fan theories, the less you know, the more you find out. This theory is predicated on the idea that the energy crisis of Monstropolis seems strangely centered on the Monsters, Inc. company. Granted, it's the main energy provider, but it's as if there is never a notion of a global problem. Further evidence comes from the claim that, when a child enters the monster world, it's the first incident in monster history, unlikely if such a technology was used globally.
There has been a child security breach for the first time in monster history.
So, what if it's not a global problem because Monstropolis is the last bastion of civilization in a devastated world? That's what Redditor, Mr. Dr. Professor Time Lord thinks, and this is why. In addition to the evidence above, all of Mike Wazowski's plans to dispose of Boo involve getting her out of the city. Instead of simply driving out of town with Boo in the trunk, the schemes all involve elaborate methods to breach the city walls undetected. All of this strongly implies the monsters are walled in, and any justification for such imprisonment would have to follow a pretense that the world outside Monstropolis poses an existential threat to monster life. The theory doesn't commit to what might be so dangerous to monsters that it had to be walled out, because that would be wild, baseless speculation. However, it does put forward some ideas. Even bigger monsters, radioactive mutants, an alternative energy source that proved too volatile, forcing them to source all of their power from the reliable screams of children. Perhaps all of the above. Stay safe, monsters. What happened to Sully? Sully is the lovable hero of the Monsters, Inc. movie.
Feel the bird. You call yourself a monster?
He's famous, talented, and Monsters, Inc.'s all-time top scarer.
We're working for a better tomorrow. Today.
Okay, as many have pointed out, an all-time scare record is a terrible way to rank employee performance. Wouldn't something like a monthly tracker be a more useful metric? Does Monsters, Inc. even follow agile methodology? What are those? Physical files? It's the 21st century. Time to go digital, Waternoose. Jeez, no wonder the business is failing.
Tell that to the board of directors.
Anyway, Sully, the biggest alpha jock of Monstropolis, charms us all by showing that even the biggest, baddest, stinkiest monsters can have a heart. In the movie, his relationship with Boo helps him to realize the harm he's causing and becomes the first monster to question the ethics of scaring little kids.
You think he's gonna come through the closet and scare you? Oh boy, how do I explain this?
So what happens when, like all of us, his life eventually fades and he passes on? Is he commemorated with a state burial and given a statue for monsters to remember his achievements forever? Perhaps the answer is hidden away in another Pixar production. That toilet seat cover looks familiar. Oh my. Is that really what Sully earned for solving an energy crisis and ending cruelty? Rex, your face says it all, buddy. Damn bureaucrats. Alternative energy sources. Alright, this one doesn't take a lot of explaining. Let's make a list of things in bedrooms that scream. Little kids when they think they see monsters? Check. Now imagine it's the parents' rooms, perhaps on a Wednesday night. Let's say they shared a bottle of wine. The kids are staying with their grandparents and, well, mommy and daddy can be as loud as they like. Giggity. At this point, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then it probably wouldn't be right to explain it. Just crack open the closet door a little. You wouldn't even need to go inside. The scares could stay at home. Plug in the yellow battery thing and off you go. Enough scream to charge my iPhone S. Props to Reddit user Pepe Arenas for the theory. And to the comments section, we salute you. The Pixar Theory. Who is Boo? People love Pixar, and who can blame them? In many ways, Pixar is the driving force that modernized animated family cinema. The name Pixar is synonymous with the latest generation of Disney movies produced in rich 3D, carrying the torch from the 2D classics into a new era and setting the standard for artistry on a new technological plateau. And the movies make us cry.
So long, partner.
A lot. Which for some reason makes us love them. We love them so much that we search for deeper meaning in their existence, some kind of all-unifying narrative that binds the entire Pixar universe together. Enter the Pixar Theory, credited to John Negroni. There isn't time to go into detail on the Pixar Theory in this video. Seriously, people have written pages upon pages on this subject. If you want a good summary, check out pixartheory.com, which is surprisingly well made by fan theory standards. Alright, so we really don't have time for a good summary, so here goes. Human magic makes animals intelligent. They also create intelligent machines. Sucks for humans because both machines and animals turn against them. Humans and machines team up to defeat but not wipe out animals. However, machine pollution renders the planet uninhabitable to humans, forcing them to live in space while machines remain on Earth. Eventually, humans return to Earth.
Yay!
But it turns out to be polluted, so they die out.
Oh no, that sucks. Oh boy, that's too bad.
The remaining, radiation-resistant animals then take center stage, and eventually they evolve into monsters.
Scary feet, scary feet, scary feet.
Which brings us to the crux of this theory, and why Boo is central to the whole thing. The monsters are the furthest forward in the timeline of the Pixar Theory, existing long past the demise of humanity. Therefore, we can only conclude that monsters travel back in time when they pass through their doors to harvest energy. As Boo grows up, she can never truly forget her love for Sully and longs to revisit him. Retaining memories from that time, she realizes that the monster world is in fact the same as planet Earth, and, owing to the absence of monsters on Earth, realizes that they must have come from another time. She then dedicates her life to learning the time-traveling door technology she witnessed as a child in order to find Sully. Doesn't that technology seem strangely similar to the one used by the witch in Brave? And wow, doesn't that sculpture look familiar? That's right, the witch in Brave is Boo. The years certainly take their toll. Think about it. If you were determined to learn a technology which was hinged on, get it? The precise composition of doors, wouldn't carpentry be a sound choice as a profession? Perhaps she's back in Merida's time, searching for the origins of magic that started the entire chain of events, or looking to reshape the course of history in order to reconnect with her childhood friend. Did she ever find him? Maybe we'll never know. Why Monsters, Inc. makes commercials. Don't worry, this theory isn't anywhere near as long. In fact, it's just a question, by Redditor, Just a TV Nerd. Since Monsters, Inc. seems to have a monopoly of energy provision, why would they bother making commercials? Well, although they're clearly the dominant provider, Monsters University does show us some evidence of competition, as we see on the trading cards. So, it makes sense that, in an uncontrolled free market, they would act to crush whatever tiny competition they had by dominating advertising space.
Look, the new commercial's on!
Additionally, commenters point out that advertising by monopolies is pretty common practice, even among government agencies, as a way to communicate with consumers, a part of public relations. Given that possibility, it makes you wonder how long Waternoose had been working covertly on a scream extractor behind the Monsters, Inc. propaganda machine, and if there were any victims prior to Boo during his decades of research and experimentation. What do you think? Do you have any dark or creepy theories about it? Please remember to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But most importantly, stay wicked.